Hello, welcome to this update for the U.S. and Canada and the tropics as well. So let's see. In the U.S., we have a bunch of stuff happening. A bunch of like frost advisories in parts of central northern U.S. and those freeze warnings already parts of the plains into the Midwest. So that colder air mass, a bunch of stuff happening. Some freeze watches near Colorado and Kansas too. Even some counties in New Mexico, Nevada and California, some freeze watches too. Some red flag warnings in Texas, California, and even Nebraska. And some even like winter storm watches in the Rockies of Utah and Montana because of that system coming out west. So let's see what's happening in terms of storms. So let's see, nothing crazy, just a storm or two near Lake Michigan or like in the Ohio Valley, some areas, a storm or two in Florida and southernmost Louisiana, and some in the southwest, but nothing severe. Day 2, some storms out west and some in the Gulf still. Day 3, still some more storm probabilities on the west there. And then the fire, we have an elevated today, parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and even southwestern Missouri, and northwestern Arkansas. So be aware, but nothing that crazy. And tomorrow there's a big critical like Kansas and Nebraska and South Dakota, and elevated from like Texas to North Dakota, not elevated in Utah and in Nevada. So be aware in those areas. Might be some like dry conditions and gusty winds ahead of that system there. So be aware. So the fire threat. So today we still have the mixed precipitation, parts of the northeast, some snow, snow near Washington as well, some rain and storms in other areas. Tomorrow the critical fire, a lot of mixed precipitation out west because this system's coming in very strong. And day 3, more heavy snow possible. They mention parts of southern Montana there, even Utah, and more mixed precipitation. So be aware, those areas excessive rainfall doesn't show anything, nowhere. Just small marginal in Texas and New Mexico and Oklahoma and Colorado. So nothing crazy. Snowfall shows that doesn't show much in the northeast, just like in New Hampshire, some probabilities in the mountains there. Shows more like in Canada there in Quebec. So but day 2 tomorrow we start getting that snow in Washington there, in the Cascades. Day 3 shows more heavy snow throughout southern Montana, parts of northern Utah. Those are the highest risk areas, like northern Utah and southern Montana. Through Wyoming, some more snow as well. Day 4 shows more snow probabilities in a big area for the Rockies. Day 5, day 6, so we might have some more like winter storm warnings throughout the mountains there the next few days. So now shows today the snowfall probabilities, parts of northern New York does show some snow probabilities there. Probability of snow accumulating northern New Hampshire more, Maine, and some in Vermont, but heavier in Quebec there. And then shows more like in Washington still doesn't show anything. Today shows more further north in British Columbia. And then like let's see, Wednesday shows some more out west and still shows a little bit in the northeast. Like Thursday, Friday, yeah. Start showing like 12 Thursday, start showing more the northwest there. About 18 Thursday shows some more in the west. And Friday, yeah, shows more probabilities in the Rockies there, in the Cascades, many areas, and gets heavier later. This is like from Thursday to Friday, shows some very heavy snow in Montana, especially Friday, and into northern Utah there. So be careful. These are some very high probabilities there, so be aware. And here it shows like, let's just see the temperatures very quick, and then the snow. So there's still those hot temperatures in the south, and those like 50s, 40s on the northeast. The maximum temperatures, they're like the minimum temperatures night and early morning, as a lot of 30s throughout Ohio, parts of Kentucky, the Appalachians, and the Northeast, and some 20s, like high 20s in parts of Iowa, especially Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota, all the way down to Oklahoma, some 30s Fahrenheit. Very cold in parts of the higher elevations of New Mexico, in Colorado, parts of Wyoming. So be aware. This is Wednesday. This is until Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. So let's see here. So the maximum temperature is still some 90s in southern Arizona there, and some 40s maximum temperatures in the northeast. And day 2 for Wednesday to Thursday morning already shows like there in the west some 40s, 30s, especially in the higher Cascades there, and might get some 20s Fahrenheit, some 30s throughout Montana, the higher elevations of the west. So like in the northeast, still some like 29 Fahrenheit, parts of New York State, some 33 Fahrenheit. So very cold night and morning in the northeast, still on Thursday. So be aware, Ohio Valley, the Midwest, still very cold. Thursday during the day shows like, let's see here, more 70s throughout the plains, some 80s, some 90s in Arizona still. And you see during the days are much colder in the mountains out west there. And then Thursday to Friday, the night of Thursday into early morning Friday shows some 20s there, like in Montana, and not going to some teens like in the mountains of Oregon. It might be like 15 Fahrenheit or even less, and like some 20s northern Nevada, some 20s Fahrenheit in the Sierra Nevada too. So be aware if you are like in those high elevation areas in a small town, be careful with the cold, have a heater, because in even the major cities, but they are mainly low elevation, but be aware just anywhere there. And shows like some 30s in the northeast and Appalachian still. And let's see, Friday during the day shows here, let's see, some 80s in southern Texas, in southern Florida, even southernmost California, and the maximum temperatures for Friday during the day, like in southern Montana and some areas, are like still in the 20s during the day in the Rockies in southern Montana. So that's very cold like during the day, and imagine at night. Let's see from Friday to Saturday during the night shows like some 22, 25 Fahrenheit, and 29 to 27 throughout the big area, some 18 Fahrenheit in the highest parts of Nevada, even less in Utah, northern Arizona, some 23 already. So very cold out west, especially in the high elevations, some severe cold conditions possible. So be careful there. And show like some 40s and high 30s in the northeast still, like Saturday during the day shows, wait, here, let's see, still shows like some 40s and 50s in the west, but not as cold, but still very cold, more into the Colorado Rockies, a little bit colder. From Saturday to Sunday shows some 30s, 20s, even northern Utah, some 40s, so like 20s Fahrenheit or less. Northern Utah show like some 30s, 20s in Colorado, Montana, so still very cold. Like Sunday during the day shows some a little bit warmer but still cold in the mountains, still some 70s and 80s in the southeast and other central areas. From Sunday to next Monday shows like some shows still a little bit colder in Colorado from Sunday to next Monday, like some 20s Fahrenheit, parts of southern Rockies there, and even northern New Mexico and Arizona colder too throughout all those areas. So be aware there. So let's see, the day 7, Monday during the day, a little bit warmer but still cold in some mountain areas. So be aware. In the 48-hour snowfall until like Thursday at 2 p.m. Until Thursday, right, it shows like more snow in the Cascades in Washington, parts of Oregon, and into like Montana and Colorado already shows some snow there until Thursday. In the northeast shows some snow in Vermont, parts of New Hampshire especially. Northern New York shows a hint, even West Virginia in the Appalachians shows a tiny hint, maybe a tiny hint near Tennessee and North Carolina. So yeah, be aware. And the 24-hour max wind gusts, so today's Tuesday until like midday Wednesday, shows windier in the plains. We have those critical fire there, and then some like in the Rockies, windier too in Wyoming, parts of west eastern Utah and New Mexico, even Texas, some higher gusts. So be careful. Now like models here. Let's see if it loads. So here's like the winter weather shows the because there's here total snowfall. So the GFS shows. Let's try to put this until like Friday or something if it loads. So this is until next Sunday. This is good. I think so. Until next Sunday, the GFS is a lot in like southern Colorado, southwestern Colorado, parts of northern Utah has a lot, Montana, southern Montana especially. So it has a lot. It has some in Vermont, in New York too, and in the Appalachians. There's closer to the southern Appalachians. So be aware. There's the European model. Shows until Sunday. Uh, more. Wait. Let's see. Shows more southern southwestern Colorado too. So if you're in those mountain ranges of southwestern Colorado, definitely be aware of the heavy snow, especially after Friday. During this weekend shows more throughout most of the Rockies all the way to New Mexico, like Montana and Utah heavier, and the Cascades too. It shows a little bit in northern New York and parts of Vermont, and yeah, it shows very heavy up north in British Columbia, parts of Alberta. So be aware there as well, and some in eastern Quebec there. So let's see this model here. The Canadian model shows here. This is until Sunday at the same time, so shows a lot in parts of southwestern Colorado too, but not as widespread. Shows more throughout Wyoming, Montana, parts of Utah, northern New York, shows some in New Hampshire too, and shows very heavy in the mountains of southern British Columbia there and some other areas. So be aware those areas. There's the icon, don't know if it goes out that far. So here, I think it does. It shows heavier too in Colorado, parts of northern New Mexico, Wyoming, more snow, some in Idaho, and northern Utah heavier. So yeah, you get the idea. Be careful in those areas with like the cold conditions, the snow, and everything. So here, be aware, and like let's see the temperatures for the north here in Alaska. So like here shows already some very cold temperatures like -8 Fahrenheit, so very beer cold temperatures there. 21 Fahrenheit, 16 Fahrenheit, other part of Alaska, some 32, so very cold there. It is like fluctuates during the day, sometimes warms up a little, but still generally very cold. Like the mountains southern Alaska, some -5 Fahrenheit. Northern Alaska, that belt there, shows some very cold temperature. Like this is Friday, show like some 0 to -8 Fahrenheit. In the mountains, high areas there, so like -13 Fahrenheit. So very cold in those areas. Be aware. And even like this is Friday, so like -16 Fahrenheit in parts of Alaska, some towns there. So please be aware of these very cold temperatures. The snowfall there shows, let's see here, like from today to Sunday shows more northern Alaska, some more snow there, and a little bit in some islands there, but mainly central Alaska, northern Alaska. And then southernmost Alaska shows a lot in the mountains, very heavy, to southern British Columbia, so more than 96 centimeters. Near western Alberta, some 40 to 50 centimeters. Most of northern British Columbia will get snow, and in all elevations, I think. So be aware there. Throughout southern Yukon shows a lot. Even northern Yukon show like some lighter snow further north. Northwestern Territories shows more over a big portion of Nunavut, mainly northern Nunavut, a lot there. In the Arctic, some very heavy in some areas. And shows that snow in Quebec, and especially in Labrador there. Quebec into Labrador shows more there into northern Quebec, so be aware those areas. And there's the GFS too, shows very heavy in the western British Columbia and Alaska there, so be careful into parts of eastern British Columbia as well. And yeah, be aware. Let me just show you the temperatures in Canada before I forget. So like here, so like -6 Celsius, -7, very cold. Northern Yukon, northern, like all of Yukon, British Columbia, even Quebec, some negative temperatures in Labrador. So be aware. And at night it shows, wait, a lot colder there. Like the cold goes all the way down through southern British Columbia, so negative temperatures. Shows there like -2 in Quebec, all the way into southern Quebec, and parts of New Brunswick, very cold there too. And then it shows those very cold temperatures, like -19 Celsius in Yukon, in some areas. This keeps going, and shows even colder temperatures there in Yukon, -22 Celsius. Shows in most of Nunavut, very cold. Throughout northern Quebec, some negative temperatures. And all throughout the west, because the cold wave out west there, some very negative temperatures. The European model has a similar thing, some -5, -6. The Europeans, like between Yukon to the northwestern territories, all the way to -28 Celsius. So be careful there. Those are some very cold temperatures. So please be careful. And yeah, from time to time does show a little bit warmer ahead of this cold front in southern Manitoba, some 18 degrees, and then this passes and it gets colder there. So yeah, northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan, northern Alberta, some very negative temperatures at night as well. So be aware those areas. Now the wind gusts for many areas shows like today a system there in Nunavut, some stronger winds there. Some areas, sometimes like 76 kilometer per gust, goes like there through northern Hudson Bay into Quebec. Some gusty winds too, northern Quebec. It shows like here, let's see, shows some slightly gusty winds in Quebec today, Tuesday, to like Newfoundland and Labrador. And some areas shows those gusty winds like south central US, going like to the Gulf. Shows some gusty winds near like 40 miles per hour near the Gulf on Wednesday. And shows like a system near southern Alaska there, British Columbia. And then like this system starts coming out west there, shows some gusty winds in the plains there. So for example, shows some like, this is Thursday, shows some 36 mile per hour gusts in the plains, stronger parts to the west. And then this keeps going, like this is Friday, like Friday evening shows some very high winds in Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, southern Colorado, northern New Mexico, Arizona. So please be aware there. Near the coast of California and the Sierra Nevada shows some very strong winds too. These are just the wind gusts, not the winds the whole time. Then this keeps going, shows more gusty winds, especially like Saturday evening, the 19th, shows more than 59 to 60 mile per hour gusts in Arizona, southern Nevada, and the Sierra Nevada shows some very gusty winds too. Be aware in the mountains, most of northern and western New Mexico into like Kansas, Wyoming shows strong winds. And then this keeps going there. And yeah, and then we'll have another situation up north in British Columbia, shows starting like uh, early on Friday, shows this system coming near the coast there, some more than 80 kilometer per hour gusts in some areas. Then the system comes closer to land, more than 103 kilometer per hour gusts in coastal British Columbia, the very coastal areas, some 98 kilometer per hour gusts. So please be aware there. especially right on the coast. So very strong winds. This might be like southern Alaska too, some 70 to 98 km per gust, so like 60 to 50 mile per gusts. And then show like in the mountains of Alberta some stronger gusts as well. Uh, and from the mountains of British Columbia close to 91 km per gust. And then this keeps going, very strong gusts through Friday, the mountains of British Columbia, so be careful, the mountains of Alberta too. And later Friday into Saturday still shows strong gusts near like British Columbia. And then this belt of mountains, British Columbia and Alberta, shows those stronger gusts. And then those gusts get stronger like southern Alberta there into Montana, some gusty winds on Saturday too. So be aware, those areas. This keeps going. Still some stronger winds like Sunday, Monday near Montana and Alberta, and then we might have to watch for some gusty winds next Tuesday near Colorado and some areas. So yeah, be aware and like stay safe. So here, let's see. Yeah, so shows until Sunday the rain accumulation a lot like New Mexico, parts of Colorado. Much of this will be snow and the rain as well. More rain in southern Florida, some other areas. Shows like in the coast of Vancouver Islands, more than like 9 inches. This will be like some more than 200 millimeters by the European, 100 millimeters. So be aware. The GFS is like more than 135 millimeters as well. And like there's like the icon, it has closer to 200 millimeters as well there in southern British Columbia. So be aware, be careful. And like just to show you the snow a little bit closer, yes, show like some more than 112 centimeters in those mountains there of British Columbia, a lot in the mountains of Alberta, and then shows in those areas in the Rockies there. So be aware of the system and like be careful. And in the Atlantic we still have like 30 and 50% the area in the Central Atlantic might still be a tropical depression or something as it approaches the islands there. Someone told me it was 60% earlier today. They might have lowered it, but now we have an X near Costa Rica as well, so like 10 and 20% is might still form into something, but some low, very low probabilities. But there are like high probabilities that this brings like some flooding towards there. So here, let's see if this loads. So like tropical shows like here Caribbean. So wait, things are very slow this last week. So here, let's see, precipitation shows, let's put it until like next Monday. The next Monday is too much maybe. Let's see until like Saturday, like early on Sunday. So let's see here if it goes. So here, this is until like Sunday, shows more than 100, close to 150 millimeters in Belize, because the system might curve there, goes towards like northern Honduras and Belize and Guatemala. So there might be some very heavy rain, some flooding parts of northeastern Guatemala, Belize especially, and northern Honduras might be some areas of flooding. So be careful. Nicaragua might be some heavy rain too. And like the European model shows here, let's see here. So it shows more northwestern Honduras there, more than 150, almost 200 millimeters, northern Honduras and close to Guatemala. So Belize too shows a lot. So because the European doesn't have this developing, so it has a little bit less, but does show more like near coastal Belize and some areas. The Canadian has more northern Nicaragua, throughout Honduras, parts of Belize through some heavier downpours. So be careful there. There's the icon too, shows like, let's see here. So it has most in the ocean there, but it has some heavier downpours near like Guatemala, Belize, and northern Honduras too. So be aware there and stay safe. Let's just see the ensembles. There's not a lot of support like 2 days ago, but the European still shows Sunday possibly spinning up just north of the Greater Antilles. But there's not a huge amount of support. The European does shows a little bit of support for the Western Caribbean, but like very, very little. So we will keep monitoring. There's the GFS. GFS is a lot in the Western Caribbean, and it has almost nothing, but it has like 2 or 3 members near the Greater Antilles. So be aware, this is Invest 94L. The intensity guidance still up to category 2 with some models, but most models keep it as a tropical storm, but most models like strengthen this to a tropical storm, so this still could become something, but some models just keep it below tropical storm. And they take this north of the northeastern Caribbean, maybe into Hispaniola later in some areas. So just be monitoring those areas and be aware there. So here, so the GFS does have something trying to spin up in the Western Caribbean and all that heavy rain, and then it has something trying near the Greater Antilles, but this last run is not really developing it anymore. There's like the European, it shows their goals and struggles to develop, eventually tries to develop just north of Hispaniola, but struggles a lot. So even the Europeans kind of struggling to develop this. But there's the Canadian, it goes there, like, let's see, the low pressure there, and it kind of forms a tropical storm, but very short-lived. Let's see if the HRF has something new. Yesterday the HRF had a category 4. Today has a tropical storm there. So yeah, that's interesting. And the HEFS A is kind of more disorganized, but still might be something. So be aware in those areas, and yeah, and we'll do more updates. There might be some storms near Jamaica, Cayman Islands too, and like near Cuba and the Bahamas might be a few storms as well. And like, let's see, the Eastern Caribbean next 5 days does show some showers, some passing storms. So yeah,